we all have that idea that we really want to go there so much, but it really depends on the individual because so many colleges, it comes with the name, but there's so much you have to sacrifice. I have one friend who goes to UC Berkeley right now. She went for the name alone, and she talks to me about how stressful it is, how the environment is really hostile. And yeah, good luck, Ryan. But like, and I actually talked to her, I think just last year, and she said that she had a choice to go back. She would have actually taken UCI over UC Berkeley because of the difference in atmosphere. And so the biggest thing is don't worry too much about rankings because it all depends on you as an individual. I would say go visit the college first, see what it's like, see the people there, ask around, and see if it fits you as a person and as an individual.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I remember talking to some UCLA students, they were saying that a lot of their friends did not go to their dream school, but if you talk to them a year later, they're so happy where they are. You know, they're just so, it's kind of like meant to be. 所以我觉得他讲的很对，我认识一些就是进了 UCLA 的学生，他们就是说，他有很多朋友都没有进到他们所想要的学校，1年之后问他们都非常高兴，他们进了他们这个学校。所以我觉得是件很重要的事情，就像 James 刚才讲的，一定要去考虑学校，每个学校你得感觉不一样。这个就是以后 James 4年或是 less than 4 or 1 I don't know, this is home. It's beautiful. 这个 UC Santa Barbara 就在海边，我看到这个照片还以为是夏威夷哪一个 resort。它的那个 dorm 呢，它的学生宿舍就是这个 ocean view。It's beautiful. 所以基本上 UC Santa Barbara 是个很好的学校。我刚才看了一下，虽然刚才 James 说不要看 ranking， 不过只是给你告诉你说，2016年的那个 US Youth, they said they ranked UC Santa Barbara as number 6 for public university that offers students the best value. So it's a very good one.
大家好, I'm Ryan. I'm going to UC Berkeley. Thank you, James. I'm going to be studying stats, and I have to pick a domain. I'm thinking about comp sci or business. My GPA was around a 4.3. My ACT score was a 34. And the AP classes I've taken, I took AP Lang, AP Chem, AP Stats, AP Physics, AP Calculus, AP Computer Science, and I took the AP Chinese test. I did take some outside counseling to help with my writing with my essays at Pacific Academy. It's like right over here by Woodbridge. Some of the extracurriculars I did, I'm a swim coach over the summer. I also play piano and violin. Yeah, that's about it. And my mom's right there. She's the one presenting. Kisha mama. And my number one advice to students is to do what you like here. You don't have to you shouldn't feel forced to take all the AP classes, because I had the option to take like AP US History or Honors American Literature, but I chose not to do that. I want to focus more on math because that's what my major ended up being. So yeah, do what you like.
Okay, 大家好. My name is Brian, and I'm going to Cornell, and I'll be studying environmental and sustainability science. And my GPA, well, it's kind of not like a good reflection, because my sophomore year GPA was really bad, but then I had like a 4.8 junior year, so it kind of balanced it out. So it was like a 4.3, 4.4, and my ACT score was 34. I took 10 AP classes. I took AP Lang, AP World History, AP US History, AP Psychology, AP Environmental Science, AP Macroeconomics, AP Government, AP Calculus PC, AP Physics, and AP Stats. And I did use outside counseling. Huge shout out to Harvard Square. And yeah, and list of my extracurricular. I'm in high school orchestra for 4 years. I was in football for 1 year. It didn't end up so well. I also did lots of volunteering outside of school. I created a Chinese education project with this guy right here. We tutor kids at Chinese school, and I also went to like other summer program and like did other campaign and volunteering outside school. And my mom is right there. That's taking the picture. And my number one advice to students is I'm just gonna echo off what Ryan says. Like, do what you like to do and do activity that actually means a lot to you, because that's how you find where your passion is, and that's where you find your major is. And also, when you apply for college, it's like a long process. It's exhausting, and it's gonna feel really bad at first, but I just know that at the end, it's all gonna be worth it. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, hello, my name is Noah. I'm going to be going to Princeton University. I will be studying chemistry or chemical engineering, and I'll be minoring in viola performance. My GPA was either 4.4 or 4.5, and then my ACT score was 35. I took a total of 9 AP classes. I took AP Lang, AP World, AP US History, AP Chem, AP Stats, AP Computer Science, AP Calc BC, AP English Literature, and AP Physics. Yes, I did use outside counseling. I went through Premier Prep, and it was really helpful in like putting together my application in the best way as possible. And my extracurricular activities, I did a lot of music-related things because that's where I like really developed my passion for music. I was in orchestra. I played viola. I was principal violist. I joined marching band, which is something I didn't expect to be doing at high school, but I ended up somehow being able to be drum major, which was really gratifying for me. And I did a lot of outside orchestras and yeah, other music festivals and stuff. My parents are not here, and my number one advice to students is really try to develop a passion for something that you truly like, and really reach out and try to take as many opportunities as you can in that sort of field of passion, because that's where you will really like thrive, and that's where you get the experience that you need, and sort of leadership experiences that come through it, and experiences that you'll be able to describe in your application really well. Thank you.
Were you in marching band and orchestra all 4 years?
I was in orchestra 4 years, but marching band just for 3. I joined sophomore year.
所以他在 orchestra 里头4年，然后 marching band 3年，这是非常困难的一件事。所以我们如果大家有哪个小孩子想这样做的话，就可以问他。Okay, so Daisy.
Hello. I'm Daisy. I'll be attending UCLA. My major is computational and systems biology. My GPA is about a 4.5. ACT was a 35. SAT was a 2,300. I took 15 APs. I'm probably not going to list them because I can't remember them. Because my memory is bad. That's why. I used outside counseling. There's a place called Landmau, which is in Woodbridge. That's all I say. Did I purchase the full package? I think my parents did, yeah. Yeah, I have no money myself, I forgot. My extracurriculars, I did marching band for 1 year and quit, which I kind of regret. I also played piano and took private clarinet lessons. I did orchestra for like the first two years of high school, like outside of school. The main things I did were OC Coast Keepers, this environmental organization, so I volunteered there during the summers over the past 3 or 4 years. I also did 2 science fair projects, and I also participated in Girls Who Code at Woodbridge High School. My parents are here. My dad is over there. My mom is somewhere over there. Oh, there she is. My number one advice, everything everybody else said was very insightful and comprehensive, so I don't know what to say, but maybe on your actual application, when you're like writing essays and listing your activities and stuff, don't be afraid to like try to conform to like what's a good writing style or something. It's more important to be like stand out as an individual and yeah, I don't know, that's very vague, but okay.
Thank you. It's a great school. 然后 Daisy 其实很厉害。Daisy, did you enter a lot of competitions or something?
For what?
Or I don't know anything. But anyway, I just want to mention it. So before that was Steven.
Hi, I'm Steven. I'm also going to be going to UCLA. I'll be studying statistics. Okay. My GPA was about a 4.5, my ACT was a 34. I've taken 10 APs. I've taken human geography, English, language, world history, physics, U.S. history, statistics, yeah. And then I also took government, econ, Calc BC, and Comp Sci. And then, yes, I did use outside counseling. I went to the Pacific Academy like Ryan. Extracurriculars, I played a lot of tennis. I'm on the varsity tennis team. I played number 2 doubles, and I actually just came from a match right now. So that's why I was late, sorry. I also played the violin and piano. I was also part of the orchestra with Ryan and Brian and Noah. And I also did a lot of volunteering at IPSF. And no, my parents are not here. And my number one advice to students is really just start your application early. I think everyone knows that, but like also when you write your essays, try to like not to write about like who you not are. Just kind of you need to develop your own voice and without sugarcoating it, and really like. You can't, you just have to, it has to come from your heart, so you can't fake anything, just go for it, just be who you are, and that's how you're going to appear in your application.
All right, thank you. 我们现在可以开始问问题。I'm going to open up for Q&A now. 所以你们如果有什么问题要问他们的话，就尽量，因为这是个很难的机会，因为他们才刚刚申请到学校，所以他们都觉得，对吧？家长用中文也没关系，他们都可以看。对，他就用中文的话，我们可以帮你翻译。
Yeah, question 就是关于他们 once you come up with their majors, and was it when you apply, or you have this idea, like a major in your head earlier than that?
So she wants to know when you.
Yeah.
What major? Okay.
Before I even started looking at colleges, I kind of knew what I wanted to do. So that kind of made it easy when I was looking at schools. I looked at the ones that had my major. And then when it came to my minor, last year when I was in Chinese class, I realized I wanted to continue studying, and so that's kind of what inspired me to also look at schools that had Chinese as well. So I kind of had an idea in my head before I applied and kind of looked at schools based off what I wanted to study, not based what I want to study off of what schools I got into. I didn't actually think of what major I wanted to be until kind of like midway through my sophomore year. And if I say that if you have an interest in what major you want to do in college, I say you try and pursue that interest as early as possible, because then you might figure out you didn't like it. Like my freshman year, I wanted to be a vet, and then my dad's cousin was a veterinarian, so she let me go to her work for one day, and I figured I did not like that at all. And then I also like design and stuff like that, so I was like, might as well go with architecture. Yeah.
So the way I decided my major wasn't very insightful. So I'm a bio major. I'm probably gonna do pre-med to become a doctor, straight to Asian stuff. But the way I decided was I was sitting in English class, beginning of this year actually. No, beginning of my senior year, and I was like, you know what, I might as well be a doctor. So decided to choose biology because it's the easiest way to go to pre-med, and that's pretty much how I chose my major.
So actually I didn't want to be a statistician before junior year. So actually I kind of developed an interest in statistics when I took the AP Stats class. And I think it had more to do with like a good teacher. I think that's really important. The teacher I think is really everything. If they make you like the subject and they teach you really well, then you'll really develop an interest. And then another thing I want to add, something that's helpful in choosing your major is like trying a lot of different kind of classes, because like you never know what your major is going to be. It could be like music, like Noah, or it could be environmental science, like Brian. You never know unless you try those classes. And then I wanted to do engineering before, and then I went to this program over the summer called NSLC, the National Student Leadership Conference for Engineering. And when I went there, we went to different engineering classes, and I learned more about engineering. And the more I was there, the more I realized I didn't want to do that. So that also fed into why I chose stats.
Mine is actually like an interesting story. So like a long time ago, when I was like still small, we went on a vacation to Palau. It was like a Pacific island for vacation, right? So I was snorkeling, and then it was like snorkeling. Anyway, it was like it was said to have like a really beautiful sea and everything, but what I saw instead was just like piles and piles of trash, all kinds of plastic floating on the sea, and all that really what you guys saw on the news and everything. So that's the time I started to think well, maybe this is the kind of thing I want to do. And as I entered high school, I did more and more activities to kind of make sure that this is the kind of thing I really want to do in college, and this is the kind of thing I really want to do for as my major. And all my volunteers and community service kind of confirmed my interest and confirmed that this is the kind of thing I want to do. So this is what I ended up with.
As for me, I really didn't have an idea of what I wanted to do until towards the end of junior year. For me, I was really looking into doing music school at first because viola was a really big part of my life. But after taking a variety of classes, similar to what Ryan was saying earlier, I really had a good good chemistry teacher, and he really made me love the subject. And I think just having a good teacher and really delving into the subject itself is a good way to experiment with what you really want to do and what you are happy doing. And as for my minor, I just wanted to keep doing music, so I chose viola.
Sorry. Sorry. So my dad has always been a pretty ardent environmentalist, so that led me to do a science fair project, partly inspired by him in my freshman year. That was about water quality. That was like an intersection of, okay, no, sorry. After that water quality project, I got to meet this professor from UCI, which was a very fortunate opportunity, and continue that project in sophomore year. So then we used like computer science and stuff to work on that. And that professor was in basically computational and systems biology. So it was basically through that project that I even knew what this major was and that I was interested in it. Although when I actually applied to colleges, I was very unsure as to what major I should do within STEM because I was interested in computer science, environmental science, civil engineering, and biology of different kinds. So I applied different majors at different UCs and kind of gambled, like whichever UC I get into and I like best, I'll just choose that major. Of course, I research which majors are better at which UCs and which private colleges, so yeah, that's how it worked.
Okay, so for me, I think a really big thing is that when you're choosing your major, you should choose something that A, you're pretty good at, and B, that you know, like, you love to do it. And so, like, I'm a statistics major like Ryan, so I have a pretty similar story to him. So throughout high school, like, I hated all my English classes a lot. So I knew humanities without a picture. So like I turned to math, I was like, hey, I'm kind of good at it. I think like I kind of like doing it. And then I was at a crossroads between like, should I go into like pure math or like applied math? And then I took a AP stats class like Ryan did, and then the teacher was just amazing. He Jeffrey Tipper. And then he was really good at applying concepts and knowledge that we learned in class to like outside practical world. So like it was really fun while studying the class, and then like I learned a lot from the class, and I really loved the class. So like by the end of my junior year, I knew like statistics was going to be my major.
Great. Any more questions?
我问一个问题，刚才我听你们几位好像都说的是outside counseling，是不是我不太懂这个 outside counseling 是不是指的是在校外有专门的针对性的辅导？
对，就是那种泛美啊、飞达啊，还有黑雅哈佛这些的。所以有一些是像 Brian 跟 Noah 跟 Ryan 他们都说有，我想 Daisy 跟 Steve 好像都有，可是有的是那种 full package，就是从Brian when did you start with offering？
OK。
这有的是10年级就开始早点开，有的是12年级。像我儿子的话，他就是只是去找泛美的，就是看几个小时需要，他只去帮他作文方面，所以不一样。
那我再问一个问题啊，对，刚才说的那个 GPA 那个是个很重要啊。我听说UC 系统呢，它记这个AP 课只记4门，我想确认一下是这样的吗？就是 UC 它算 AP 课，比如说我们学了10门 AP 课，但是真正的在它计算的时候，它只取其中的4门，并不是全部都取。我不知道这个是不是这样。
Okay, so he's asking that he heard for the UC schools, it doesn't matter how many AP classes you take, they will only take 4 AP classes grades when they count the GPA. Is that true?
So if you can actually go online and they have a UC GPA calculator. Oh, thanks. You can go online and the UCs actually have their own way of calculating GPA. For example, an A minus is actually considered like a 3.8, right? Okay, you guys aren't helping me. And like our current GPA for high school, if you get like an A minus at 90, right? That'll still count like a 4 or a 5 if you're taking an AP class. But like for the UCs, they don't consider that a 4. They consider that like right 3.5. So UCs have their own separate way of calculating GPA, and that includes when it comes to taking AP classes. Like there's a certain amount of AP classes they will take as the 5 to help boost your UC GPA. But in terms of like how many you take, it shows like your well-roundedness. So I would suggest taking like a certain amount or a decent amount. In regards to like helping your GPA though, like yeah, it won't. The UC GPA won't be boosted too much depending on how many you take.
So it is true then, they kind of have a cap to it.
Yeah, they kind of have a cap to it.
对，是有这样。
就这个只是 UC 的吗？其他的学校呢？其他比如说 UC 以外的学校，比如说康奈尔这些，他们是全部的 AP 课都算的吗
？I think like 我讲中文好了，就是那个 UC GPA 你在 calculate 的时候，它只有 UC 它是一个 system， 就是它 add like 只有规定几堂课的那个 weighted point 会 add 到你的 GPA 上 as a UC GPA。But then 你拿多少个 AP 的课还是 still consider to like you still consider how many AP classes you take. But 像private school 他们就是我应该是没有这个 system， 所以他们就只看 like your total GPA and like your weighted points and all that stuff.
When it comes to GPAs and stuff and AP classes, I know some private schools take weighted GPAs, which is basically when you have your AP classes counting as 5s or whatever score you got. But some only take unweighted, which means even if you get an A in an AP class, it only counts as a 4 towards your GPA. But when it comes to the like AP courses, they count as credit. Some schools only take certain ones. So my school, they accept my AP statistics as 4 credits, and my AP English test is 4 credits, but my AP physics test doesn't count for credits, but they'll accept it towards my GPA. So usually the schools will have on the website for the upcoming school year, they'll have whatever AP courses they're accepting for credit, but if it's weighted, if they accept weighted GPAs or unweighted, they'll specify that as well.
还有没有什么问题？
那我问一个问题，就是I'm talking about the outside counselor. How much necessity do you think for the outside counselor? If the kids are not wanted, should the parent pick up one for her or him anyway? So if you don't have an outside counselor, only depend on himself or herself, or should ask for some other help?
I think that they should ask for some outside help because I think that like from the student's perspective, they might think they're flawless, so there might be like some flaws within their application, but like they should get like an outside perspective, which is good. Like not someone like their parents because they might have like a similar view, but like an outside perspective to like what stands out to them, because to the person themselves, everything might stand out, everything might be equal, but outside perspective is essential. And then for me personally, I'm not very good at writing essays, so getting the essay help, it really helped me because like there's like the specific way that they think like the wording in your essay would really stand out and help in your application. So yeah, outside help would be probably perfect.
For me personally, I was debating whether or not to have an outside assistant, but I definitely think it's really worth it to have someone who is professional, like look over your application. And before I had this outside help, I really had no idea how to word certain things, like for awards and activities and such. I think it's really important because they limit how much you can write in each of the boxes. So being as concise as possible and wording it in a way that makes it sound as great as you can possibly have it sound is like really helpful. And for me, my counselor was actually a reader for UCs, so she really gave helpful insight as to how certain wording will stand out and the best way to present your own application and your writing in that manner.
I think outside counseling is just like really beneficial to your college application in many ways, because like college application, you need to do so many stuff, and you need to send like so many scores. Do like there's lots of things that you need to do, and it's really easy for you to forget like certain deadlines or like what to send, what to do, and like they really keep you in check on like you need to do what at what time and to send what score and what to do. Also for essays, because like if you're applying to many schools, then like there's a possibility that you're gonna run out of time to do all your essays, or it's gonna take a long time. So like what they did was like they kind of keep you in check, and like they try to make you like finish it on time. Because I'm pretty sure if I didn't have help, I don't think I was gonna finish all my essay on time. So I think that's it's just a really good helpful way for you to like have help on your college application, make it look more polished in a way. I think that's a really good like.
我想加一点，就是因为我儿子我有给他去就是校外，有很多话我们父母跟他们讲，他们都不听。可是同样一句话，付这个钱给这个人讲，他们就会听，很奇怪。我觉得就是那个 chance for you to 机会让你吵架的机会就少很多，做你的钱包就比较小。
Okay, so James has the opposite perspective, so I think we need that to balance it out.
That'll be great.
Actually, I'm probably going to side with him on getting help because I didn't get any. Actually, I asked one friend to check my grammar to make sure grammar was good. But other than that, I didn't get really any help for my essays. And I was actually looking over them, like I think a couple weeks ago, and I looked at it and I was like, oh my god, this is so bad. So I had that realization that like if you have outside help, you can have somebody read it and look over it and probably tell you what's wrong with it. Like even myself, after rereading it, I was like, well. I literally just said that I am not unique at all in my essay. That's probably not something good to do. So like in terms of essays, I think are probably the most important thing to really get help with. In terms of other stuff, like extracurriculars, a college counselor can really tell you what kind of extracurriculars to put in and what not to put in because some will hold more weight than others. Like as you can see, most of us here do music, and most applicants to UC have some kind of like musical background. So you won't stand out as much. And especially for the UCs, you have, I think it's 5, right, Ryan? I go to Ryan for everything. There's like, you can list 5 extracurriculars, right? And you're only limited to 5. So certain things you want to put in, certain things you don't want to. So for example, if you put in music as one of your 5, and everybody puts in music, then you're not going to be as unique. But if you put in something completely random, like, okay, completely different, like I went to the moon or something, then like, then obviously you're going to stand out.
I'm also going to be the devil's advocate, sort of, although you were not. I did do outside help. I started in 11th grade, and as for essays, maybe I'm just a weird and stubborn person, but they gave me very few suggestions, and I didn't really accept the suggestions they did give me, because I wanted to, say it how I wanted to say it. But I think the most valuable thing about outside help is that, at least for the thing I went to, called now, they had a bunch of other students who were also like around a round table just discussing their essays, and they had a bunch of alumni and seniors come back to talk to us about it. So I think the people, like the fellow students at the counseling place, they were more helpful than the actual counselors. So there are pros and cons to it, and it really depends on your student. If they think they can handle it by themselves and they don't want other people to interfere with their essays or something like that. Yeah.
那我觉得 Daisy 讲到一件很重要的事情，就是那时候 Ryan 的时候，因为很多这种地方都有 free consultation，你可以去试试看，不要钱，就是1个小时。所以我们就试了2、3个地方，看哪一个人跟 Ryan 最合适。所以要一个他讲 Ryan 听得进去的，然后而且最重要的就是不能让那个人写，应该是你小孩子写，只是让那个人看一下。所以我觉得就是让你小孩子试试看，就因为你小孩子如果不愿意听那个人讲的话，那你就是该。
队长，我再接着问这个问题。I'm sorry to use more time. okay. I have continued to have a couple of questions. One question is that I think all of you might have some experiences. If the kids that now want the outside helper or the outside counselor what's the best way to convince him of her? That's one question. Okay. Another question is that what's the best time to take the SAT or the ACT?
I don't really know how to answer your first question. So I'm going to answer your second question. I took the ACT 3 times. I took it twice my junior year, and then I took it one more time my senior year. I actually think if you take it like senior year, like in September, first time, like I think you'll, like, at least I did better because I felt like as academically I was a little bit more well-rounded for a test. And I mean, why not just take it? You know, it's going to be like one of your last chances before you have to submit your ACT and SATs. So, yeah.
I feel like one way to like convince your kids is like definitely go on for like a college visit. Cause like before I go on any college visit, I was like, you know, college is whatever, you know, just go whatever. But once I tour like, you know, Stanford, Berkeley, LA, like you got mind, like your mind is open. Like it's like because they're like it's like completely different from what you thought it was. Like wow, college is amazing. You know, like this is the kind of like, and like when you tour college, you realize that how much work you need to put to get into like the school you really want to get into. So that was like kind of my self like revelation. Like I wasn't really a hardworking guy, but but after like I went on for some college visit, I was like, wow, like this is what I want. This is where I want to go, and like this is why I want to work hard. So yeah.
Okay, this situation has actually come up to me, but I'm going to talk to you, Jefferson. Jefferson. Yes, Jefferson is the person you were talking about. So, yes, I think that you should like, if they have any close friends that they like maybe look up to who are getting the help, and they like maybe like if they heard that they're like getting help, then maybe they will want to get help as well. But I think what Brian said is also very important. Like visiting the college and like realizing the competition, I think that's when like you realize, oh, I probably like if I want to be as good as I can be in this application, I think it's best to like utilize my resources. And then as for the ACT, I think it's best to start taking it around junior year. I'm like Steven, I took it twice junior year and then once my senior year. And I think what he said is, like, I agree with him. Like, taking that senior year is also very, very important because, like, the knowledge that you gain during your junior and senior years, it's more test experience and more knowledge that you can just add to taking, more test strategies. So just, why not take it that last time? And I actually improved like Steven. But don't take it too many times, because I think the colleges can see like how many times you take it. So
how many times?
I took it 3 times.
Okay, so in regards to the trying to convince your kid to have like outside help, I think it depends on how stubborn your kid is. It's like if they're extremely stubborn, then everything you say is just going to go in one ear, out the other. And if they do get outside help, then it's still just going to go in one ear, out the other, and just a waste of time. But if they're like almost on the fence, like about if they should get outside help or not, you should try and nudge them to at least ask people who've already done the application process if they think outside help would help them. Because if their friends or people they look up to think that the outside help wasn't very useful, then chances are that your kid's probably going to think the same. Also, for the ACT and SAT, I think I took my ACT end of sophomore year, beginning of junior year, and then SAT also junior year. And I think around 2 or 3 times is a good amount of time to take SAT, because chances are if you take it more, you're not really going to improve if you haven't already.
I'm going to answer kind of both questions in one. At the beginning of summer, right after my sophomore year, I took a practice test for the ACT, and I saw what score I got, and I knew kind of roughly what ACT score I was shooting for, and just taking that practice test and knowing how much improvement I needed to get to the score I wanted, that's kind of what catalyzed me into studying really hard and basically getting the help that I needed in order to do that. And
I ended up taking it, I think, 3 times as well as my junior year. And starting early is really helpful. I have friends who started it later, and so they were still taking it into their senior year. So they were taking ACT and SAT while they were doing college applications, which on top of regular school and outside curriculars, that's a lot. And so having my tests done before I started the application process was a huge, that was one less burden I had to worry about. So definitely starting early.
Actually, I have 2 questions. First, I'm just really curious. Each one of you, how many schools you applied to? And second is, did you go to any ACT or SAT camp? And if you did, where you went?
My road to college was a little bit different, so I ended up only applying to one school because I got accepted for soccer. I think it was right after first semester, my junior year, I think it was, almost a year and a half ago now. So I got accepted to play on the soccer team, and then as long as I met the minimum requirements for basically academics, then I was automatically in, and so I only had to do one application. Sorry, what was the other question?
The SAT, ACT.
Oh, okay. My brother, I have an older brother, so when he was studying for the SAT and ACT, he got outside help, and it wasn't really helpful for him all that much, and he ended up getting an okay score, but he had to do a lot of studying on his own. And so what I ended up doing is I worked with my cousin who's my same age, and her and I got a bunch of prep books, and we went through them all throughout the summer, and we tested each other and took a bunch of practice tests, and both of us ended up with just as good of scores as I know people went to, classes that cost thousands of dollars, which for some people that's helpful, but I knew for me that if I was diligent to do it on my own and have someone there, like my cousin, to push me to keep going, then that was enough for me. So
I applied to a total of 9 schools. I think it was 5 UCs and 4 Cal States. And then also for the ACT, SAT class, I took classes for both online. And I think taking classes depends on what kind of, how your child studies and stuff. Because for me, the SAT and ACT classes, they were kind of almost a waste of time because all I did was spent time just taking tests over and over again. And they offered little tips, but they're tips that your teachers could have probably told you for that. So it kind of depends if you're, like Ireland said, if your kid is diligent enough and is going to do it on their own, or if they need the nudge to actually do it.
So I applied to however many UCs there are. Those are the only schools I applied to. Yeah. There's 9 of them, so I applied to 9 then. And for in terms of ACT help, like I said, I go to Ryan for everything. Ryan knows exactly how it was because we went to the same one together over the summer, and it helps in terms of the repetitiveness of taking the test over and over again because of you start seeing patterns that you can use. For example, the reading portion of the ACT. Yeah, I already know Ryan's behavior for this, but I don't bother reading the passages for the reading portion. I just kind of do the questions and then I do okay. I'm sorry, Ryan. But the tips that they offer aren't extremely helpful. It's just the repetitiveness of taking it over and over again. Because a lot of the times for the classes for us for ACT it's 2 classes a day and each one focuses on a different subject or something. For the subjects I was doing well in, I kind of maybe might have taken a nap. So yeah. So, but for the ones that I needed help with, which was English grammar, yes, right, we all know. Those are the ones I stayed awake for and I tried to do my best in.
So I applied to 11 schools. 11 schools. I'm not going to list them. The majority of UCs and some out of state. As for the ACT classes, I went to Pacific Academy. I think Stephen and James went with me. I think it was really helpful because I started out with an okay score, but then if I took those classes, I would have jumped to where I ended up being. Probably because I'm not very diligent by myself, so the repetitiveness did help me. And I'm going to advertise a little bit for Pacific Academy. Francis Vu, he is a monster in science. He will guarantee you a perfect score in any science class you want. So, yes, go to him for any science help.
Speaking of how many colleges I applied to, I applied to 19 because I wanted to have options. Oh, that was that was a long list. And for ACT, I took many prep classes, but then I realized in the end that it's better to study by myself, like self-studying, because like I don't know, I was at the end I was desperate and I was motivated, so like it kind of just like it just so I feel, but I think definitely like taking some prep classes definitely prepare you, like they teach you some tricks and like tips or like to make you answer faster, like for example, because like for ACT English, like honestly, there's lots of repetitive patterns of questions, and then if you're familiar with the patterns, then sometimes it's really easy for you to like pick the answer right away and to like improve like the speed of like your test taking speed. So I think that's helpful. But then, yeah.
For me, I applied to I think 7 or 8 schools. I applied early and ended up, I originally had a list of like 15 that I was going to apply to, but I ended up getting early, so I ended up, I knew I wanted to go where I got in, and so I ended up not applying to the other schools that I had previously had on my list. As for ACT and SAT prep, I started pretty late. I knew that I wasn't really good at motivating myself to take practice tests at home, and I would like be really lazy about it. So I felt that I needed an outside like source to push me to do all this prep work and take a bunch of practice tests. And so I took a short like 2-week camp at Elite, and it's basically a bunch of test taking every single day, and they give you lots of tips on how to improve your score. And I started out with a really low score, and I feel like the repetitiveness of the test taking really helped, and it helped me increase my score by about like 7 or 8 points by that.
I applied to 11 schools. I think 5 UCs and others were privates. I'm going to be the devil's advocate for ACT, SAT camp again. I did do both. I did ACT first in like 9th and 10th grade, and then, or something like that. At least 2 or 3 camps over the summer. So I think that for me, it didn't improve my score very much. And I spent a lot of time during the summer for both of them that I thought would have been more worthwhile if I spent on extracurricular activities. I agree that repetitiveness does help, but my specific problem that my parents wanted to help me with, I really appreciate my parents. I just feel like they spent too much money on me. Was my writing, like on-demand writing, and writing essays over again and having them talk about like trivial aspects of my essays didn't help me write faster because I couldn't finish my essays. So I think those kinds of camps are not suitable for improving your on-demand writing skills. I'm not sure. No, actually, I shouldn't say that. I'm generalizing. But yeah, for me, that didn't help very much. Again, it depends on your student if they are willing to take practice tests on their own and work on their essays on their own, I guess. But yeah, that's my experience.
Okay, so I applied to 10 schools. I think I applied to 6 UCs and 4 privates. And then I really think I'm kind of opposite of Daisy. I think the prep for ACT and SATs are pretty helpful. Like I went to the same place as Ryan and James, and it's really helpful because it really just pushes you to just do the work, you know. Like by the time like you finish like school, it's already summer break, so it's like there's like almost no motivation to do anything during that time. So like if you're very diligent or hardworking, then maybe like prep isn't really for you. You could probably do it by yourself. But I know me, like I needed it because I think the first test I took, I got like a 20 on reading, and I ended up with like a 35. So it definitely does help, and I think like the most important thing is just practice, doing as many tests as you can. I think like if you spend more time learning strategies, I don't think that's the right way. Like I think you can learn strategies from like outside people, but like the main like strategy to do the tests is from your own practice, and that's how you learn.
Yeah. I think a lot of you have mentioned that to really control your passion. So my question is that if you look back to the last 4 years, who is that really that person who really helped you to find or develop your passion?
For me, it was my teacher, AP Stats. I think I got pretty lucky with a great teacher. I mean, I think I said it before, like, he was just really good at applying stuff to, like, the real world. Like, for statistics, like, we were talking about, like, the NCAA draft. Oh, no, not draft, the tournament. What the heck? NCAA tournament, and then he also showed, like a penny auction or something. He described how that worked, and, like, probably about that. And, like, this year was also, like, I heard, like, a lot of the times, like, he just talked about the election, like, the probabilities of winning and, like, the poll tracking and all that stuff. So, like, for me, I got pretty lucky because it was my teacher. But, like, I guess in other cases, it's just trying everything, you know, like, just try everything you get, see, like, which one you, like, love doing the most, and then just doing that further.
If I had to say one person, I would say my dad. Again, because even though I couldn't make all these plants and stuff, mainly, like I said before, I would call him an environmentalist, and since I was young, he always fostered that concern in me. I feel like I haven't been as active as I should have been. Well, nobody's active as they should be, otherwise this world would be a little bit better. But yeah, he kind of inspired my first science fair project, and that led to my interest in biology. And I hope to use that knowledge of biology towards environmental issues.
For me, I developed my passion for chemistry through my teacher, like Steven. But for music, what I really spent the most of my time on was I think my conductors and the people that I worked with inside the many orchestras that I joined really helped inspire me to just work harder and do my best, and that ended up allowing me to take opportunities that I wouldn't have been able to have had I not pushed myself in something that I love. So I think that just trying different things and seeing what you really like will help motivate you to do your best, and will help you stand out in whatever field your passion tends to be in.
I gotta give my credit to many people. I think the first one is my AP US history teacher, Frank Harrington. Cause he's a guy that's like following his passion, and he's in love with like his job and like what he does. And because like throughout the year, like I spent with him, he kind of like let me know like how much fun it is to do what you really like to do, like just all other people told you to do. And the second person would be my AP environmental science teacher, because that's where my major is, and she really kind of like showed me how like how the field works and how everything works. And the third will be the professors I work with at Cosmos, because they were really, they're all professors that are really dedicated to their field. And I think by working with them and doing research with them, I really kind of get exposed and really like what I wanted to, like what I do. But I really want to mention is like, even though like we all say follow your passion is really important, like your parents are supporting you stand behind you on this. So I gotta give a huge thank you to my mom, because without her, like I would took like some really general major like business or something, but I'm not gonna end up liking it. So yeah, it's really important to have your parents support.
So my mom was a math major. She's an actuary, so that's where my math inspiration started. And so like I was focused on that path, except I didn't really know where I wanted to go. And then that's when I had the same stats teacher as Steven, Mr. Tipper. Woodbridge students take AP Stats. It's a great class. So yeah, he he just did a really good job teaching it. He made it fun. He made it applicable. All the things Stephen mentioned. So yeah, the teacher. It's really important.
So for biology, I had Mr. Dorzak, and yeah, he could probably tell from the reactions from my friends that he was a
Great teacher.
yeah, yes, a marvelous teacher. Oh my god. So I didn't really get my passion for biology from him, but I got my passion from I would say my dad because so I didn't really know my major, like I said, until the beginning of my senior year, but what I did know is I had a passion for really wanting to help other people, which is why I want to be a doctor, because I want to help other people. And I attribute that to my dad because he is military, and for a lot of times when he's deployed and he'll come back, he'll tell me about like certain events and certain things in like third world countries or wherever he's deployed that are as unfortunate as to say is not very nice. And through that, like through hearing the stories of what it's like in war zones, I grew to like almost have this yearning to help people in those kinds of areas. So I wanted to become a doctor and then join something like Doctors Without Borders to be able to go overseas and like help other people. So I attribute my passion to my father for that.
In terms of my family, I'm kind of like an outlier in what I want to study and my passion because both my parents are basically science nerds. My sister is following the same path as my mom. They're both comp sci majors. My dad is a forensic scientist, and my aunts and uncles are all doctors, yet I want to be an architect. So I think my passion really built off the fact that I really like design and stuff like that, but not enough to be an art major itself. And my parents were both very supportive of me, and whenever I had an interest, they'd make sure it's like, they'd see if it was an actual interest or just something that I would like to do for fun. So they're like, when I said I wanted to be a vet back in freshman year, they're like, asked me if I'm sure I wanted to be a vet, if there's any classes or something I wanted to go tour or see. And I think it's the fact that they're so patient with what I want to do, and they support me. Like they didn't force anything on me. They didn't tell me, oh, you have to be this, you have to be that, don't be this. I think that really like helped me foster a passion.
Kind of like James, I knew that when I grew up, whatever I did, I wanted to help people. And from a young age, my parents have taken me and my brother, and we've traveled and seen a bunch of different places in third world countries and places that aren't as lucky to live in an environment like we have here in Irvine. And so I knew that I wanted to eventually go overseas one day and do some sort of humanitarian work and also incorporate my Christian faith with that. So that's how I got my basically my passion for missions and doing Christian ministries as my major. And then when it comes to my minor, shout out to Zhao Lao Shi. Freshman year, first day of school, I walked into the Mandarin classroom and I was one of maybe 4 or 5 white people in there, and my parents didn't think I could do it, my brother didn't think I could do it, none of my friends did, but Lao Shi didn't give up on me, and she really inspired me to keep pushing through, especially when it was hard, and that's kind of gotten to me where I am today with my Chinese, and that's what inspired me to continue learning it in the future.
I feel all of you guys are going to judge me after this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. So, have you guys all, like, regretted working so hard for doing anything? Because, okay, so, at my school, I go to uni, right? So, there's, like, 2 groups I usually hang out with. The first one is, like, the nerdy people, like Jonathan Fong, Jason Lee, Michael Zhao, all those people. And there's this other group. I wouldn't say that they drink every weekend, like, pretty much. Because how different their lives are, and I just wonder if you guys like sit down on a Friday night and like studying, and then you look up, stare into the ceiling, and think like, where else could I be on a Friday night? Has that ever happened to one of you guys?
I know
I don't know if you guys like work hard or not.
Working hard, right?
For me, especially during sophomore and junior year, I spent a lot of time working on recruiting for soccer. So that's when I was taking most of my APs and honors courses, and then I was traveling a lot for soccer, visiting schools and going to tournaments and visiting college coaches and all this different stuff. I know during those times, I definitely missed out on a lot. And looking back, I don't regret it necessarily, because I think everything happens for a reason. That's what's gotten me to the person I am today and where I'm going. But I definitely wish there were certain things that I had been able to take part in and things I wish I had put more emphasis on instead of working so hard in school and working so hard in soccer, because those things are important, but they're not the only things that are important. So I just think having a balance is super important, and just to not put everything into school and everything into studying, because there's so much more beyond that.
I think as a student, I'm kind of in between. So it's like I don't sit down to study on Fridays, but I also don't ever study. So it's like I still study when it's needed, but then I also make sure to go have fun with friends when there's time and to make time for them if it's needed. But the only thing I would regret would be taking an AP class that I didn't need. So I took my sophomore year AP World, and I absolutely hate history. I took AP World for the credit until I realized, like halfway through, maybe the first month, that it was way too much work. Like I didn't need this because I knew for a fact I wasn't going to major in history or anything like that. So I think just don't take classes that you know you won't need or you won't like, because it'll definitely feel like worse than it should be.
So being on a sports team, you do have certain individuals who like to have fun on the weekends. So I do understand where you're coming from on that. And talking to a lot of them actually this year, because a lot of them are seniors. A lot of them, I think a couple of them are going to community college, and then a couple of them are going to like state universities. And if you want to do like that, then it's fine. But in terms of like how much you should really study and work, I think it's really important, because I probably did the opposite of what you said, and I don't think I studied or worked hard enough, because like I probably mentioned earlier, I have a tendency to fall asleep during certain things. It's not just welcome class. So I would say that you want to manage your time studying well and still get a lot of sleep, because like I was doing some like math the other well, not like I was like estimating, but like throughout my entire high school career, I probably slept like 1/5 of like my entire high school career in class, and I was like, oh my god, regrets.
Yeah, so similar to James, I know exactly what it's like to have like the super smart kids like Mr. Princeton over here, and there's like a swim team. Most of them are going to community college, party hard on the weekends, yeah. But I think hanging out with them really like give me some free time to just relax. Obviously, don't go in too deep with what they're doing. Like if they're doing like hardcore stuff, try not to get into that. But yeah, I think it's a good time to relax. And then some regrets that I have, like working too hard, yes, this year especially. I decided to make this year the year I took the most AP classes. So I took AP Gov and AP Econ. I never took any AP history courses ever. And this was the first year. I was like, why not? I'll just try it out. And yes, it was very, very, very difficult for me, so I regret taking those classes.
I feel you 100% on this. Because my biggest regret is definitely sophomore year. Like I was not doing anything every day. I was not doing homework. I was sleeping in class. Teacher was mad at me, and I was just a mess. Like let's just be real. I was just a mess, and I got B's, not like no A's and all that. And my life was like going downhill. And one day, like at the end of sophomore year, like I look at myself in the mirror. I'll be like, what I'm gonna do in the future? I'm gonna be homeless. I don't want to be homeless. And if I'm homeless, my mom's gonna be mad at me. So like so I worked my ass off junior year. And, okay, I'm sorry. I worked really hard junior year and got like the grade I want to have. And now I look back, my biggest regret is probably I should have started working harder like sophomore year. Maybe I would have gotten to like more schools that I could apply to. But yeah, like as other people said, this is like part of your journey. But definitely, like I feel like there's a good balance between like your playing time and like your studying time, and I'm definitely not the one that has a balanced time management and all that. So yeah.
For me, one of my regrets is working too hard during junior year, Looking back, like for this year, now that all of the tests and stuff and college apps are done, I have like a lot of free time to spend with my friends, and I feel like that is really important in developing yourself as a character. But in regards to my junior year, I would sleep on the floor so I could wake up easier to do homework, and that is something I really regret doing because I could have been more outgoing and yeah, taller. I just feel like you really need to find a balance between studying and spending time with people you love and having fun, because I know that high school is really stressful. So I think having opportunities to let yourself have fun is really important in staying healthy. And so don't not work hard, but don't do it to the point where it's unhealthy for you, I guess.
I'm not qualified to talk about partying or anything. I'll just say that I slept very little throughout my entire high school career, and I'm still sleeping very little. I just woke up from a nap before this. Don't watch videos on your phone under the bed sheets at from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. That's all I'll say.
I think work hard, play hard, you know. So because I think, at least on my tennis team, I think we're all pretty well-rounded people. So I don't really hear stories of partying that hard. So I think if you regret working too hard, I think then I don't think you'd really have a strong goal set for yourself. I think the main reason that I wanted to work hard is because I just wanted to get into a good college that I really liked, I looked forward to going to. So I knew UCLA was a big target for me. And I mean, my 4 years here, I worked hard, and I didn't regret that much. Okay.
Any more questions?
How do I write a DBQ?
Oh, you already took it, didn't you?
It's coming out next week. I'm not ready.
我想知道那个申请那个 scholarship 他们这些情况。
Oh, can you guys talk about applying for scholarship? If you applied for any and got any, or?
I think Woodbridge Counseling, they send a lot of emails about about scholarship opportunities, especially during your senior year. I think I mean, when you're done with college apps, I think scholarship apps are the next thing to do. I mean, so yeah, just be on the lookout for emails from Barbara Lancaster. And then if you're really interested in scholarship applications, there's a lot of flyers in the counseling office you can go to.
Just want to quickly say that a lot of UCs have region scholarships, and I think UCLA and maybe Berkeley requires you to write an extra application. And they also have alumni scholarships, so if you're interested in a UC, just remember to apply for those. They're not very long. They're just additions to your UC application, so yeah.
Something I wanted to add was a lot of your extracurricular activities will have opportunities for you to apply for scholarships through those organizations. So if you're really involved in your extracurriculars, I think you have a better chance of obtaining those scholarships. Yeah, so that's another resource for scholarship application.
I want to add on to, because for some schools, there's a when you're applying for that school, there's certain deadline that can be included for your scholarship consideration. So for example, USD has a scholarship deadline, which is earlier than their actual application deadline. So that's kind of what I did, and I just submitted my application before the scholarship deadline, so you can be considered for a scholarship. And so I did get the scholarship, and so that's a pretty good way for you to get it as well. And yeah, also look up for the email from Barbara Lancaster. she sent you like surprisingly lots of emails, like lots of scholarships out there. Like there's like Edison scholarship, and there's like an Asian Pacific Island scholarship. There's like a bunch of scholarships. There's like everywhere. It's like yeah, just look up for it. I think there's lots.
So like scholarships for me came like right after the UC application, so I was just so over it. It's just more essays, but like do it for your parents, kids. I'm talking to you guys because they've already done so much for you financially. Just alleviate some of the pain. Just fill up some scholarships. You never know. Like you could get one. There's so many out there. There's gonna be one for you. Never think that there's not one out there for you. So yes, definitely do scholarships, even if it's tough. Just fill it out for your parents.
So there are a lot of different scholarships for so many random things that it's kind of crazy. Like I was talking to one of my friends, and I think my Chinese classes I know that, but like I was talking to Jake. Apparently there's a scholarship for tall people if you're over 6 feet. And I was like, what? I'm 6'1". I should apply for this. But so if you actively search out, there's like so many different scholarships for so many different things. There's sports scholarships, there's tallness scholarships, and it's like you just gotta look for it. And yeah, I don't know. But in terms of me, like I didn't really apply for scholarships because as I said earlier, my dad's military, and one of the benefits of being military is we have this thing called Cal Grant, where basically I get free tuition to any UC school regardless. So yeah, so that's one of the reasons I applied to UCs. Yeah, so I want to thank my dad for that. Dude's not here.
My school, well, like a lot of private schools, once you send in your application and you get accepted, they'll pretty much send you basically what your financial package is. And a lot of private schools are generally more expensive. But I also know that a lot of private schools, especially smaller ones, they have really good scholarships. And so at my school, I mean, here at Woodbridge, I'm kind of middle of the pack when it comes to GPA and test scores. But because I'm in such a good district here in Irvine, when I applied for my school, I was in the top of the people that applied, and so I got their highest merit money. And compared to like UCs and stuff, I know it was a lot more money in scholarships than some of the public schools and stuff like that. And also, if you're doing sports, usually, I mean, it kind of depends what division you're looking at, but I know Division I and Division II and NAIA, I believe, they have usually athletic money for whatever sport you're in. So you can also talk to coaches that are interested about that.
Any more questions?
I have two questions. One question is about recommendation letters. Who did you go to ask for recommendation letters, and how close were you with your teachers or the person who read your recommendation letters? And how did you maintain a good relationship with your teachers?
I ended up doing an expedited application because my situation was a little different, so I didn't need letters of rec, so I'm just going to pass it on. I didn't need it.
So one of the letters of rec I used was my counselor letter of rec, which is actually something that not a lot of kids look for, or not a lot of kids will actively look at because like they don't see it as being that beneficial. But like counselor letter of rec is actually something that I think is really important because your counselor is going to be with you for all 4 years. All the teachers that you have are not, maybe 1-2 years max, but your counselor will be there with you for all 4 years. So I would suggest that like all students go through the counselor letter of rec application because depending on your counselor, they can write some pretty good letters of rec and they'll really help boost you.
Yeah, so I got a letter of rec from my stats teacher and my honors pre-guidance teacher, so math teachers, which I saw as it would help that if they saw letters of recommendation from math teachers, they would it'd help benefit my application a little more. And like James said, it should be like a teacher that the student is really familiar with, someone that they really know. That way they can write a better letter of recommendation. And like you said, the counselor is an opportunity you should take because they're with you for 4 years. So take advantage of the counselor, go talk to them whenever you can so they know you better and there's more things that they can put in your recommendation letter.
For mine, because my counselor told me it's better to have one from humanity classes, so like English, history, and then one from science or math. So I got one from so I just basically got the two letters from my two favorite teachers in school. So my A-push teacher and my environmental science teacher. And to the question of how do you maintain like a good relationship with them, for me, like just be an active participant in class, like raise your hand, say something, you know, like look up for help. When you need help, like go ask them, like, because I know lots of like Asian students, like when they have questions, they don't ask the teacher, they just go home and like ask other people or like solve it by themselves or something. Like, for me, like I'm not so bright, so like I just straight up ask my teacher like after school, you know, if I have any question, if I need help. And one good time for you to spend time with the teacher is like tutorial, because tutorial is definitely like a time like when you need assistance, you can ask for help, and also like talk to your teacher, you know, have conversation with them, ask them about how their life is, you know. I think it definitely helps because like the more a teacher know about you, the more personal the letter is gonna be, and it's gonna feel how do I say it? It's gonna be more. It's gonna make your it's gonna be more insightful. It's gonna make your application stand up more compared to other letter prep.
I would say some colleges require that you have letters of rec from different subjects. So for that reason, I got one from my math teacher and then one from my history teacher, even though history wasn't something that I was interested in. But I feel that maintaining a good relationship is easier if you're doing well in that teacher's class and you actively participate. And so it would be easier for them to write more about you, and rather than writing about someone who they don't really know, which is more generalizations. So definitely some teacher that you're doing exceptionally well with is the best way for you to get the most personal recommendation from.
My teachers was my AP biology teacher and Latin teacher. I pretty much agree with what they said. Interact and participate in class. I didn't really do that, so my letters maybe were not as good, but I also want to mention that a lot of colleges, I think, well, not the UCs, but private colleges offer like a third or fourth recommendation. I got the UCI professor who helped me with my science project to write recommendations for a research supplement on like 2 or 3 of my colleges. So don't hesitate to ask your coach or professor, some intellectual person you associated with, to write an extra recommendation.
Okay, so like Ryan, I got my letters of rec from my stats teacher, my honors pre-calc teacher, and my A-push teacher. And then I also got kind of lucky because my stats teacher was also my honors algebra 2 teacher, so I had him for 2 years in a row. So I think Ryan was also in honors algebra 2 with me, so like he knew both of us really well. So we were kind of fortunate that we kind of went to him for that kind of help in the letter of rec. And then choosing that letter, I think it is better to get teachers from the same department, like the major that you're applying for, because that's kind of how they have their perspective too. But it's also pretty important that you get another person from a different, like something outside your major, because they can provide a different perspective on you. So that's why I went to my A-push teacher. And like kind of Daisy said, like don't forget about your extracurriculars. Like if there's like a manager or if there's like a head figure there, then you can probably ask like them for a letter of rec because they know you too.
Just wanted to confirm one thing. You guys don't get to read them, right? Because they're sealed, right? 所以就是让大家知道，你不会看到这些推荐书的，因为一定要是寄去的时候是整个是封起来的，它那个信封上面会盖个章，所以你绝对不可以打开来，这样子大学才会收。所以就是你根本不晓得他会写什么东西。还有个 second thing, don't you think that you should recommend everybody to actually ask the letters earlier? Yeah. 因为很多小孩子等到最后一天才去问，老师有时候已经很忙不写了，所以最好老师可能讲说我要写50个，我没有办法写这么多，所以早一点问，不要等到最后一天才问。
特有的气氛，然后你没有。
有什么的 is on lobby 在学校的 system， 我不晓得你是哪个学校的，是用 lobby。
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to ask another question. I said it too. Another question is about marching band. As several you talked about marching band, and I want to ask how much time do you spend every week? Is it really challenging to do marching band and also orchestra or like symphonic band for all 4 years?
I definitely agree that marching band is a time commitment you have, but at the same time, colleges will see how much time commitment you have towards each activity you do, and they place value in something that you spend a lot of your time in, and if it's something that you really enjoy doing. So for me, doing orchestra and band, it wasn't that tough, but the amount of hours of rehearsals and competitions on weekends for marching band was it was demanding, but at the same time it wasn't really a chore for me because it was something that I enjoyed doing, and I got to spend time with friends and teachers that really supported me. So I feel that just even if something is a really huge time commitment, I think it's worth it if it's something that you can thrive in and I guess do what do I say? Do well in. And on the college app for your activities, it asks for amount of hours per week and amount of weeks per year, and then so they'll understand how much time you spend on each thing. So just like another input on the activity section, I think putting something that you spend more time in is much more valuable than something that is like a 1 week thing that may seem like it has a good title, but it wasn't that significant to you. So I think definitely, even if something is demanding, it's worth it to pursue it.
I have a question. During the 4 years, you probably all have some difficult time, struggle time, and I'm wondering if you feel comfortable to share about those difficult times, knowing that eventually you will pull through, and those hard time actually it becomes a blessing, after 4 years when you look back. Because I think it's very important for some younger student right now to hear that, and also for parents to know those difficult times will be over.
Okay, so yeah, definitely. I think like if you're going through difficult times, then like I think just move past it. I mean like if you're stuck in that situation, then I think there's like a few like there's like moments that you probably regretted doing or you didn't do, and then I think just set a new goal. Like even if you reach it or you don't do it, then you know like you were better off than where you started. So like I think just move past it, just move on. Like you still have a lot of time to make it up for whatever you missed or did not do.
I never really felt overwhelmingly stressed or anything, but I always like a very mild level of stress. I think this is cliche, but whenever you feel down about that test score, or didn't get into a team or something, just communicate with friends and parents and find a way to, find new opportunities after that, because there are always new opportunities. And if you don't make Science Olympiad 1 year, try the next. That's what happened to me a few times. Yeah, just talk to people who will support you and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Going off of what Daisy was saying about reaching out to close friends and family, I definitely agree that it's a good resource for you to not only find comfort in, but you also learn that a bunch of your peers around you are going through the same things and they feel the same stress that you feel. So just knowing that you're not the only one feeling this way is comforting to you, and it somewhat decreases the amount of stress you have. And always just know that the amount of work that you're putting in right now, even if it's hard, it will definitely pay off after the 4 years. So just keep pushing yourself, and you'll definitely end up where you're meant to be.
Talking about difficult stories, like I think mine was definitely like a difficult one. So, like moving here to the United States wasn't like a planned decision. Wasn't like we made it really really last second. So coming here, like getting a place to live and all that wasn't like planned already, and it was really hard for me because I got enrolled in Uber like the last day, or like when their school actually started. So I was really scared I wasn't gonna have a place to go or like a school to study. So I was thankful that I was coming here to learn in like States and all that. And also like after I came to school, cause I just moved here, I didn't have any friends, or I didn't have anybody that I know in school, cause everybody knew each other already in middle school and all that. So it was definitely really, really hard, and I was super homesick. Like I missed Taiwan, you know, all the good food, and all my friends, all my family were there, and it was really, really hard. And like I have multiple times in like I had multiple times where I was like, why am I even like here? Why wouldn't I just move back? You know, everything was like so good back then. But like as time went on, and as I met more friends, as I did more stuff, as I did, I realized like life. I realized like this all part of the process, and at the end of the day, when you get the result that you got, everything is worth it, and also a really good story to put on your application and tell the people, like, or tell them in the interview like what really happened to you, and so I think it was worth it. Yeah, it was hard, but it was definitely worth it.
So like during the school year, the months of January and May are the hardest months because it's finals and AP tests. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of studying if you take a lot of AP classes, and finals in general are just very hard. But like you just got to fight through it. If you do bad on it one test, just move on. You can't get hung up on it. I can speak from experience because I get hung up on a lot of bad scores, and it's like a domino effect. It just keeps going, and like you have to get over it. It's one test. You can make it up on the next one. And then like, I'm just gonna quote my stats teacher because it was really insightful. He said like, if you aim to be average, if you fall short, you'll be bad. But if you aim to be perfect every time and you fall short, you'll still be very good. So, I don't know, I just felt that was because that was what motivated me to like, take that extra step and work really hard.
So in baseball, for all our pitchers, we have a saying where we tell every pitcher to clear their mind. Every new pitch is a new opportunity, and every single at-bat is something new. You can't let previous errors or anything before occur or affect how you play. And I think it really applies also to the way that we look at difficulties and hardships, especially in high school. One test will, it can hurt your grade now, but if you let it dwell on it, like Ryan said, you hang up on it, it could affect you for the long run. Like, speaking from experience, I took geometry in 8th grade. No one knows where I'm going with this, and I did not do well. And from there, I have a somewhat not good trend with math, and I have to ask Ryan for help in math sometimes, because he's a lot better than me in math. So for me, like, I would say that, like, because of my experience with math and how I felt like I wasn't accomplishing what I wanted to do, I would say I actually did dwell on it, and it did deteriorate me as an individual in doing well in this specific subject of math, which is my worst subject. So I would say you have to move on. You have to get past it, because you can't let it characterize you as a person. You can't let one failure characterize your life.
I think when you have difficulty or some hardship during high school, I think this is going to sound weird, but it's kind of almost a good thing because you're testing your limits. So I think that academically, if you feel like there's a difference between feeling stressed and just feeling just downright miserable. Like my sophomore year, I took 2 APs and honors, and I was also in the varsity sport lacrosse, which was during the months of finals and APs. So it was very stressful because I'd be leaving class early to make games and everything. I was in class maybe half the time, and the class I was leading was my honors math class. So I think that having difficulty during high school is good because then you can figure out how much you can take and how much you can't take before it starts feeling like just going to school is just a burden instead of you should be learning stuff.
Obviously, Woodbridge is a very competitive school academically, and when it came to junior year, a lot of my friends were going in one direction academically, and I knew that with my extracurriculars, I wouldn't be able to keep up with them, but I felt like I had to. And so I ended up taking some classes that I wasn't really interested in, but I knew they'd give me a higher GPA, and I knew that they would look good on my transcripts, and I felt like I needed to compete with my classmates. And so after the first couple of months, I knew that junior year was going to be really, really hard and harder than it needed to be. And I ended up deciding to take an AP class for an honors class I was in, and that was just an extra burden that I didn't need. But I felt like I needed to do these things to keep up with other people and not accept the fact that I was different. And so junior year was super hard academically, and I didn't get a lot of sleep because I was so busy. But I know now, looking back on it, that I never want to put myself in that position again, but that if I do find myself in that position, I will make it through. It will be hard, but I know I will survive, and that it'll get better afterwards.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead. Like, how do you guys manage your time? Like, literally, like, how do you know that, like, right after middle school, what classes you're gonna take for high school? Because it really matters for college too.
For classes, what to take your freshman year and all of that, I mean, there's some general classes you have to take, and if there's one subject that you know you like better, then maybe decide to take an honors and AP from there, and then work your way up with the numbers of AP classes you're taking. And with balancing time, I mean, I don't even know if we've all figured that out. I'm pretty sure junior year, I didn't get more than 4 or 5 hours of sleep one single night all of junior year. So you kind of have to decide what's most important. So if you want that to be academics, then definitely do that. If you want it to be extracurriculars, make it that. If you want it to be sleep, that's totally okay. But I think it's just kind of weighing your priorities and deciding what's most important to you. And then the other things, you need to be able to accept that those may not be the things you're doing the best at, but at least know that you're doing the best at what's most important.
I think in terms of choosing classes from going from middle school to high school, you should definitely ask your middle school teachers. Because I remember when I was going into freshman year, I took Algebra 1 in 8th grade, and then I went to regular geometry. But my math teacher, he was like, he told me that he thinks I could have made it in honors geometry, but I just didn't take it because I was scared of the fact that it was in honors. So definitely ask your teachers about which class they think you should take, because they know your limits probably better than you do at this point. As for managing time, I was kind of weird because I didn't get very little sleep. I actually got quite the normal amount. That's just because I have this weird tick where I can't actually sleep unless I do things I know I have to do, which is something I have. Even on weekends, if I know I have an extra day, I'm like, no, I have to do this. And otherwise, I get no sleep. So I think just managing your time, like Ireland said, is just do what you think is more important first, and then after that, if you know you have a little bit of leeway, you can do those later. So just kind of prioritize which ones is more important to you and which one's not.
So, time management is hard. And I'll be the first to say I'm not very good at it at all. Because just yesterday I went to sleep at 3 in the morning. I'm a second semester senior too, so I don't know why I'm doing so much homework and stuff. But it really depends on what class you're taking. In terms of your transition from middle school to high school, I don't know how much I can really talk about now because they have changed it to Common Core where it's Math 1 and Math 2 now. But in terms of my freshman year, I took Algebra 2 as a freshman, and I felt that it was a really easy class, and then I transgressed until honors pre-calculus, and then that's when math started getting awkward again with guests. So I think it depends on for your transition, you should really talk to not only your middle school teacher, but also ask for advice from people who have taken the class already. So if you know anybody who's taken I think Math 1 or Math 2 is what they teach freshmen now, already, ask them what they thought of the class, what the workload is, and the syllabus if they have it. Because by asking teachers like or classmates up ahead what you're going to get yourself into, it helps a lot.
So when you're choosing classes out of middle school, just because like you can take like a harder class, like you can take honors biology, and if that's way too hard for you, you can always just drop after like the first, I don't know what the limit is, 2 weeks. After the first 2 weeks, you can drop down to biology if it's too hard for you. So just try and take advantage of that kind of system. And as for time management, I'm a big time procrastinator. I just had an argument with my mom earlier about me being a procrastinator. So yeah, honestly, I don't know who's figured it out here, but it's all something we all still need to work on, I can say. But you just got to get on top of things early. I think that my best time management was in AP chemistry. I started doing study guides a week ahead of time, and that really kept me ahead of the game. And then like it really helps. Like just stay ahead of the game, and you'll do well.
For me, I didn't really have a choice coming out of middle school, because I moved here, so like they just gave me like the basic college prep courses, and then I kind of just moved my way up and take other classes as like year progressed. As for time management, like for me, there is no time management. My nights are really like not long. Like all I do most of the time is like I play games, I watch Netflix, YouTube, while doing my homework at the same time while like studying for a test. And then sometimes I stay up so late I can like see the sunshine. I can hear like the birds chirping outside my house. Like don't be like me. Like do stuff and then like play your game or like watch your video, but don't be like me and do it both at the same time. That ends up with like lack of sleep and like you don't know anything at all after that anyway. So it's kind of a useless. There's kind of a bad time management there. So yeah.
For me personally, choosing classes from middle school, I was really intimidated by like taking as many honors and APs as I could. So I kind of started out like in the lower classes, but like the other people said, you have like a grace period of like 2 weeks where you can like move around classes, and if you overestimate your abilities, you can go lower, but if you underestimate your abilities, you can still go higher. And as for time management, I would say having like scheduling your things to do is definitely helpful, at least for me, because I would have a schedule where I would finish work first, then like do whatever, and then go back to work. And I think for me, having a schedule for me to follow was really what drove me to like finish what I had to do at certain times. But I do admit that I still do it now, but I always wait till the last minute to do things, and which is something I regret doing, but it was kind of inevitable. So at least for me, it might work for some of you, it might not. So just try different things of prioritizing your to-do lists, and I don't know, just try different things to help you manage your time wisely.
For courses, I think Woodbridge is pretty flexible with what you can take as early as freshman year in comparison to uni, I think. I don't know if I'm right. So just look at the whole course list, and of course you need to consider your like graduation requirements and which APs you think you should take, but also take some classes that are fun just to like even out your schedule, like art or an ROP course or something like that. As for time management, I will give the same advice as Brian. I'm a very bad example because this year, or starting in junior year, I started like sleeping in the afternoon and waking up at like 12 or 1 a.m. and then just staying awake the whole time. So your whole schedule gets messed up. Or like I wake up at 1 a.m. and then sleep again at 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. So just sleep at night. Don't sleep in the afternoon. Because if you sleep in the afternoon, you'll sleep in class. And then your whole circadian cycle or rhythm, whatever, will be messed up.
For classes, I think just take what you need, don't take what you don't need. Pretty much like, I don't know why I took AP World History. It's like the biggest waste of time. So, like, yeah, I wish I could have dropped that class in hindsight. But okay, about time management, I kind of agree with Noah. You have to just make a plan and a schedule. Like, you have to like force yourself to do stuff at a certain time. Like, I think the hardest year for me was junior year, especially with A-push and those outlines. They kill you. So you just gotta start early and then make like a designated schedule, like when you know like when to get stuff done, because that's really just gonna help with your time management.
I have already interesting question about the game. So I think probably most of you have experienced the gaming time. So sometimes you want to play the game. How much time do you think it is expected in the high school year for the game?
Ooh.
That's
excellent. For me, like, gaming doesn't stop. I just play until I want to stop, and I start on what I want to do. Like, but my mom usually is the one that's gonna stop me, you know. But like, you know, I would say just keep like a healthy amount of like, I don't know what like I don't know what like a healthy amount of like hours is. Like, just like keep like a healthy amount. Don't play too much, but at the same time have some fun. It's okay. I'm not like a good like a reference, because like for me too much it's like there's no too much. There's only I don't know what is considered like too much, you know. Like for me, if I can keep playing, I just like keep playing. So so I don't know, but I would say okay. I'm gonna be if I say it from like a parent standpoint, I would say like 1 hour. 1 hour. Let's keep it 1 hour. That's a good, healthy amount of gaming per day.
I'm not a gamer. I actually just like reading, but I will read instead of doing homework, and I will read forever until my parents stop me. So I think that like acceptable time frames depends on your student, like the student and the kids themselves, because it's like if they continuously game, like he says, like gaming nonstop, but it's like not really affecting their schoolwork or anything, then I don't think you really need to put a stop on it, because it's obviously doing something right. But if it's obviously affecting their schoolwork, like they're not doing anything, they're just sitting at home gaming, and then grades are dropping them, you probably should put like a limit on it. But other than that, it probably just depends on how they handle both gaming and work.
Can I say something about gaming? So I'm a heavy gamer, but this isn't about gaming. So I have swim practice that ends at 7, and I go to bed at 11. And between 7 and 11, that's primetime television. So I developed a system, 3 browser windows for all you AP World kids. Left half of the screen is your outline, is your IDs. Top right is your ID list, like what you have to fill out, and the bottom right is the television. So commercial breaks are about 7 minutes. You should be able to finish 2 or 3 IDs. It takes like 2 episodes, and you finish all your IDs. And if you can remember what you're writing about in between like episodes of television, that's like perfect memory like recall.
Oh my
So you're like almost prepared for the test if you can hold that information between like 7-8 minutes. And you know, got me through AP World, so it's all good.
Well, I have one question, since there's so many parents here. Oh, I'm so sorry. You had a question.
Yeah, I have a question about how to get recruited in athletic team, like what you did for your high school, like freshman, what you did. So, yeah, what kind of what kind of work you did?
Well, it kind of depends depends what sport, and also sometimes depends what gender your child is. I know for some sports, like golf, that's individual for the most part. You can get recruited out of high school, or if you go to tournaments individually. But for soccer, I started my recruiting process about 8th grade, and it got heavier in my freshman and sophomore year. So for soccer, it depends what division you want to play and what schools you're looking at. But I play on a competitive club team, and we usually train twice a week, and then I do private training on my own, and then go to the gym on my own. We play out-of-state tournaments, we play regionally. So it all just kind of depends what sport, but something that's really big for a lot of sports is colleges will have what are called ID clinics or ID camps. So say your kid is a basketball player and they want to go to Berkeley, then Berkeley will have a basketball ID camp, usually during the summer. And so the kids will, or the people who are interested in Berkeley for basketball will go there and they'll do a camp and they'll stay on campus, and the coaches will be able to evaluate them and whether they're good enough players for the school, and they'll also get a feel for whether that particular school is right for them. So for soccer, at least for girls, people start committing as early as freshman, sophomore year. I committed middle of my junior year, which is also pretty normal. Some people do it as late as basically around this time when people are committing to college for non-athletic reasons. But I have friends who are swimmers and they commit really late as well, like usually like senior year, that's kind of the timeline. It just all depends. Like I had a friend who was a golfer and he committed, I think his sophomore year. So it totally depends. But looking at schools early and taking those first steps as early as possible is really helpful.
So when did you get in college?
When
you did that camp?
I started camp, I think it was summer between my freshman and sophomore year. I did a couple over the summer between freshman, sophomore year, and then between sophomore and junior year. And then I also did a couple during the school year, so I ended up missing classes for those. But those ones are really helpful because you go to the school when class is in session, so you're able to see what the campus is like when there's actual students, whereas during the summer, the students aren't there, so it's, you don't get as good of a feel.